Steve, thanks for coming to Hunter. I really appreciate it. And we just wanted to get some insight on how we could help our sales reps with, the customers themselves. They're out there, and I know that they're financing more than ever before, at least from, industry trends that we're reading and that we're finding. So I just really thought it would be important that we sat down with you and you could give us some quick tips and ways that we can help the sales reps be successful out there.
Love to.
Great. Well, I think we'll just jump right in. I've laid some questions out here, and so one of the very first things I wanted to hit on is what are some of the general customer expectations for our reps?
So I think in today's world, Tom, the customers that you're calling on, that we're helping facilitate the sale for, everybody is very focused on how can I. So once they've made a purchase decision, or at least are close to making the purchase decision, I think everybody's focused on how am I going to buy. And so not only through our channels, but through independent surveys that we've conducted and through other industry research, people now expect multiple payment options. So information is everywhere, right? So power is information, and information is power. And so what they think about is not only how can I buy, but how can my company, my vendor, my supplier, how can they help me acquire the products? And so again, everybody that we talk to, everybody that we survey, everybody that we interface is not only expecting it, but views that in a very positive light. If my supplier, or if my vendor partner, or if my channel that I'm acquiring it for offers financing, or offers a payment plan, or offers multiple purchase options, it is viewed in a much more positive manner.
I would have never thought. I mean, that's good to know. I at times when I used to be out in the field, I was a little apprehensive about talking about that. So it's nice to know that those customers actually, they want to know about it, and they want us to be educated on that. So.
Yeah, they expect it, because if they have to go look, then it gives them another place to look, and it gives them another decision point that takes their focus off of your equipment and your service.
Absolutely. Well, great. All right. So, what is the best way to position payment options?
So without sounding cliche, I mean, the best way to position it is to position it every time.
Sure.
Obviously from a financial standpoint, giving your customer or your customer prospects every possible way that they can acquire your goods and services is the easiest and most straightforward way. If you have to wait for them to ask, it could potentially upset the sort of the flow of the conversation. It could put the customer or prospect on a sort of a defensive. So we feel very strongly that the best way to present a payment is early, often, and always.
You got it. Well, that's great. I like that. Right up front. Always. Well, if I do that, then, what's the best way to, get the info to you right away and make sure that Great America is in the know?
Perfect. Yeah. So as a long-standing Hunter partner, we have worked tirelessly within our IT teams and yours, so we can be found integrated directly into Quote Builder. So you can get payments and submit applications directly from the Quote Builder software. We also have a standalone app called Great America Financial Services Snapshot, which we'll put a link up so that people can request that.
For sure.
The other thing is a tried and true phone and email. So at Great America, we have an entire email address that goes to the entire automotive team. It is hunter@greatamerica.com. That hits everybody on my whole group's inbox, so it's the quickest way to get us information other than the phone. And again, we can provide the phone number for those that don't have it. But Quote Builder, Snapshot, email, phone, we don't care how you get the information to us, but those are probably the 4 easiest and quickest ways to get a response from us.
So when I start setting up to make that response, then I guess, what are the specific info that you need? I mean, what am I going to provide to you that's going to help you expedite this process for the customer and not make them wait?
Great question. So a couple of things. They seem sort of straightforward, but I think sometimes we forget that we do need the legal name of the business. So a lot of folks operate with a DBA, and that's fine, but if you could provide us with the legal name to the best of your knowledge, we need a local phone number and primary contact at that business. Those are 3 critical pieces. The second really important sort of group of information is what kind of equipment are you trying to sell them, right? And so what kind of equipment at what price points? There's a big difference in the response that you might get if somebody's looking for a road force balancer for a specific price, $18,000, $19,000, whatever that package is going to be, versus, I don't know, let's just see how much we can get them. So say $70,000. There's a big difference in sort of the specific request for a specific equipment versus however much we can get is what we're going to try to sell. The third piece or group of information that would really help my team deliver a top-notch support is any background. So any of what they had, what they liked, what they don't like, are they in a growth mode, are they buying a new building, are they building a new bay, any sort of background information that can help us make the determination of what that customer not only needs, but what we can support from a financial obligation. So again, legal name, what you're selling, and any background information would be critical pieces for us to have.
Well, that actually brings up a good point. So when you're talking about, the background of the customer and what they're all about, some of our customers, because of their background, maybe they're in a tourist area or they have seasonal work. What kind of plans or I don't want to use the word creativity, but what kind of plans do you guys offer? Yeah,
so sort of like Baskin-Robbins, we have a lot of different flavors to the financing. Seasonal, high payments in the summer, low payments in the fall, deferrals. So, you buy today and you don't make a payment for 3 months. We also have sort of the standard vanilla chocolate, 12-month, 36-month, 60-month offerings. So really the unique need of that customer is going to drive exactly what we can and do deliver back to the sales rep or through the distribution channel that the sales rep is working for. Mm-hmm. So again, it's one of those that while we offer many different types, I think that the 60-month, the lowest payment possible is usually the one that wins out. But we do offer all kinds of unique products, most of which are all geared for and by the unique situation of the customer prospect. So my advice for any of those reps, if you have a unique need, call us. Call your sales rep, call your sales support rep at Great America. We can usually tailor fit a solution for any unique customer need.
So a quick tip, if I'm a sales rep and you just mentioned two pieces of information here. You mentioned to me about price and then you mentioned to me about rate. What would be the most important then when I'm talking about that information with the customer? Yeah,
so it comes up every time, right? It's sort of the elephant in the room. What's the rate? And you do need, as a sales rep, to be familiar with that. The way I would walk it through, and what we'll probably do is provide a slide that we can kind of diagram it. So we'll show this, and if we could put the slide up now, I'll kind of just walk through it in my head. Okay. The first slide that you're looking at right now is a descriptive of $25,000 sale based on a 9.9, an 8.9, and a 7.9 rate to the customer. And what you'll notice on this slide is that roughly for every 100 basis points in rate, the payment moves somewhere between $11 and $12, about 50 cents a day on 25,000. So the rate is important. It's what people are programmed to ask. It's what people hear on the radio. And it is important to the overall transaction. But as we switch gears to the next slide, so the next slide that you're seeing right now shows the difference in rate and finance charge based on term. And so as you're looking at this, what this should give you the sense for is that while rate is important, so you'll notice it goes from 9.9 to 15.9, the real difference is in the finance charges. So in theory, somebody offered a 9.9 rate versus 15.9 says, Tom, what are you kidding? I'll take 9.9. Well, in actuality, the 15.9 rate at a much shorter term, 12 as opposed to 60, ends up saving about $4,000 in finance charges. And so it's a bit of a misconception on rate and finance charge. What I would tell you and what I would ask that the sales team out there remembers is that rate is an emotional question. Rate sort of tugs at I don't want to pay 9.9 if I can go get 8.9. Right. And while that may be true, at the end of the day, the sales team needs to really read the situation. Is it a rate issue? Is it a finance charge issue? Or is it a cash flow issue? Because you'll notice on that same chart that even though I can save $4,000 in finance charges, my monthly payment, which is down in the bottom left, is $2,000 as opposed to $500. Right. So kind of going back to the original question that you asked, it's really going to depend on the end user. But rate is an emotional play, finance charge is an actual, and my team is trained to help navigate that for the customer, to put your sales rep and the sales force in absolutely the best winning position possible.
Man, that's great stuff. That's great stuff. Well, so I've heard this a lot, so this is just something I had wrote down. I'm just more curious than anything else. I've heard different things such as, the dollar lease buyout. And then I've got, of course, our equipment finance agreement. Can you just clear that up for me personally?
Yeah, it's a so it's a little bit of a industry jargon and lingo. The core difference between a lease and a finance agreement, as you would think about internally, is lease and finance agreements differ in the ownership experience of the asset. So under a traditional lease, you're not buying the equipment, you are actually paying to use the equipment over a term. Right. The easiest way to think about this would be those customers that lease the building or maybe lease their vehicles, at the end of which there is no ownership. They either turn the vehicle in or give the keys back to the building, sign a new lease, etc. On a finance agreement, there is an ownership event, and it takes place at the time of the purchase. So when Great America sends the money, the equipment is delivered, and the customer begins making payments, that customer owns that equipment right then. The unique difference between a dollar-out lease and an equipment finance agreement, are very minimal. A dollar-out lease operates like an EFA, or an equipment finance agreement, but it has a dollar purchase option at the end. So again, both contracts would allow you to own. The fundamental, or sort of the 100,000-foot difference, is that the equipment finance agreement pushes the ownership event at the time of sale. The dollar-out lease technically pushes the ownership event to the end of the contract. In both cases, the payments are virtually the same. In both examples, the tax treatment or the financial implications to the books are virtually the same. So just some slight nuances. And Great America has gone in our industry now to primarily writing and contracting on an equipment finance agreement. So we would tell you, don't even use the term lease. It brings back visions of not owning, and under no circumstance should your customer be worried if do they own it or not. Use financing, use payment options, don't use the word lease.
So guys, get rid of the buzzwords. Stop using that word lease. It's finance. Well, that's a good tip, man. I always like to just throw that out to them. Well, let me see here. This is all good stuff, but I'm kind of out of questions here. Is there anything else that you might want to add that could help our team out there as they're working to get the customers what they need?
I think at the end of the day, a reminder that your customers do expect to be offered a finance option or a payment option. We do expect that we're going to help you get the sale. Whether or not we get the sale or not, we do want to make sure that we're delivering every possible solution for you guys. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. At the end of the day, give us a call. It is my team's sole mission to work for you and with you to help close the sale. So, we could probably spend an hour talking about finance. Everybody would tune off after this,
right,
but
sure.
At the end of the day, payment selling is easier. It is much easier to justify a small amount per month than a large transaction size up front. So let us help you out. That's all we're here to do.
Well, Steve, I appreciate you coming in and spending some time with me. And guys, I hope that's very informative for you. I mean, we know that the customers are out there. Hey, you know what? You heard it from Steve. They want to be asked, how can I finance this piece of equipment? They want to know what their final price is. So, at the end of the day, go out there, close some sales, finish out the year strong. Tune in again for another episode of Tips with Tom. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it.